Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. My party, the Democratic Party, keeps talking about appealing to working class white voters by addressing kitchen table issues. Issues like jobs, pay, and health insurance. These are important matters, but us Democrats are missing the point. White working class voters are not roused to a frenzy by jobs, pay, and health insurance. They don't want what they see as handouts, and they don't want compassion or condescension. They want something else, something that cranks their emotions up to a fever pitch. They want the sense that they have beaten someone else down and can now stand on those someone else's necks. They want the exuberance that comes from utterly humiliating an enemy. They want the exhilaration of triumph, the exhilaration of victory. They want to feel that they have just taken a step up in the pecking order, and the sense that they've done it by shoving someone else down. How far down? Look at the chants that have broken out spontaneously at Trump rallies since 2016. Lock him up. Lock her up. They want to jail their political opponents. And who do they want to shove down in the dominance hierarchy this way? Lifelong Washington bureaucrats, the folks they call the swamp, experts, intellectuals who read books and have gone to college. Karl Marx said that industrial society is torn by a class war between the proletariat and the capitalists, a class war between the working class and the super rich. But according to author Michael Lind, that's false. The real class war is between those with only a high school education and those with a college education. Lind wrote an entire book, The New Class War, that traces our most basic political conflicts to this war for control of the commanding heights between those who are college educated and those who are not. There are clear indications that Lind is right. Those indications are in America's history. In the early 1950s, Joseph McCarthy carried out a witch hunt for communists and stoked crowds to a fury with alleged lists of communists in the government. McCarthy made headlines by throwing press conferences in which he waved those lists around as he stood behind the podium. There was only one problem. The lists that made headlines were actually random pieces of paper McCarthy had fished out of the wastebasket. The public passion McCarthy stoked was a lust to drive what he called eggheads out of power and into humiliation, and he succeeded. McCarthy destroyed the careers of many an intellectual. He destroyed those careers irrevocably, forever. The eggheads McCarthy attacked were the college-educated class, particularly the Ivy League educated class. Roy Cohn, the young attorney who helped McCarthy engineer these witch hunts, later mentored an eager young man on how to stoke McCarthy-esque witch hunts. That young apprentice in McCarthy's tricks was Donald Trump. Just a few days ago, Florida Senator Marco Rubio pulled the McCarthy trick, tweeting his outrage that Joe Biden was picking a cabinet with graduates from the top schools in the Ivy League. He appealed to the passions of white, high school educated working class males by implying that they deserve to lord it over the intellectuals. But intellectuals are not the only chosen targets for white working class wrath. There are two more groups white working class voters apparently want to drive to the bottom. Two more groups whose necks they want to stand on. Blacks and immigrants. Why? Because in the pecking order game, the more groups you can shove below you, the higher you rise. A lot of us Democrats believe that these lusts for power come from patriarchy, capitalism, and colonialism. That is not true. They are behaviors stamped into us by our biology. The pecking order emotions are primal instincts. How do we know? The viciousness of hierarchical values, the demands of the dominance hierarchy, the exhilarating hormones of victory, and the painful hormones of defeat all show up in lobsters, lizards, chickens, and dogs. which hints that dominance hierarchies arose in an ancestor that gave birth to crustaceans, reptiles, and mammals. And that ancestor would have to have existed 400 million to 550 million years ago. So when folks like Donald Trump, Steve Bannon, and White House advisor Stephen Miller dump on immigrants and the college-educated elite, and when Donald Trump calls for beating blacks to the bottom with what he calls law and order, Trump and his gang are calling on pecking order instincts that go back over 400 million years in time. No wonder the calls of Donald Trump have such powerful emotional appeal. This is Howard the Humongous, speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make, or, well, I don't know why, ask how.